Well, there you go, folks. Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. There you have it. The NBA continues to be a joke and a bunch of shenanigans. Derrick Rose will have his jersey retired in Chicago. Anthony Edwards scores 53 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists in a loss against Detroit. Chucking up 15 three-pointers. Goodness God. 15 three-pointers. I think that was like half of the shots or something like that, but that's not unexpected for Anthony Edwards. And let's talk about Derrick Rose first, because there's really no hate on this guy in anything like that, but what are we talking about? If you're going to get your jersey retired with a team, I think you have to be a Hall of Famer. To me, you should be a Hall of Famer. Okay, they're going to base this on what if. And you just can't do that, because you could do that with a lot of players on the what if. I know he made 3 all-star teams and other things, but man, this ain't right. They try to make it look like, if you look at the picture, he played 7 seasons with Chicago, but he was basically hurt the majority of those seasons. Right? Ain't like he was healthy and he made 3 all-star teams out of 7 seasons. No, dude was hurt the majority of his season. So this is just crazy. I mean, to put his number up there with, you already know the guys: Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Bob Love. I think Jerry Sloan is up there. Just all these, players like that. I don't think it's really a good look. I mean, if you guys say it's okay, it'd be fine with me. But to me, I just don't. It's like one of the, when I put out the Kobe videos, and I show you why, based on the criteria of mine, Kobe's not in the top 5. And we look at the guys in the top 5: Jordan, Wilt, Kareem, Russell, and Magic, and we look at their career accolades, they just drowned out Kobe Bryant. But at the same time, when we look at what Kobe Bryant was able to do, in that span of 2007 to 2010, and the kind of help he had in him bringing home those gold medals and winning those championships. I mean, if you want to put Kobe number 1, I won't fight you. It wouldn't be something I will fight you for, right? But to me, because he didn't melt down, he didn't choke, he didn't go build super teams, and all the other things I mentioned, I wouldn't fight you if you put him at 1. That's why a lot of people keep saying, "Oh man, Kobe's 1. You're crazy if he's not in the top 5." If you want to put him in the top 5 based on your criteria, I'm all cool with it. I would not fight you if you want to put him at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's cool with me. I can't fight you over it, but I can go toe to toe with anybody who want to talk about criteria that ranks these guys, and I can show it. I showed it every time, and to me, I said Kobe started late. You know what I'm saying? As far as him, being the leader of his team, he started late. So he missed out on the scoring titles. Maybe he would have had a steals title. Maybe he would have had, more this and more that. I know it ain't just about statistical titles, but you guys got to remember, the guys that I put up, they were going against other great players at their position to get those statistical titles, to be number 1 in the NBA at steals, rebounds, points, blocks, to be defensive player of the year, assists, these things like that. So it wasn't just like, okay, it's the LeBron effect. Who cares who wins the statistical titles? That's who's still going to get propped up, LeBron James, right? It wasn't like that back in the days. What I'm trying to tell you, they play positional basketball. So at every position, you had to have a certain positional skill, right? Which made you the best at that position, right? So if it came out at the end of the year, you had the most blocks. Wow, you was the best defender. If you came out at the end of the year, you had the most assists, you was the best passer, right? Nobody wasn't calling you a Magic. You see how they call LeBron James like a Magic Johnson, but he has nothing to show for it, folks. You know how they tout his 7 rebounds? Well, he has no rebound titles or even close to any rebound titles with 7 rebounds, right? A scorer. When you see people who are great scorers, right? It don't matter if you play what position you play, uh, a shooting guard, you could have been a center, forward, whatever. But if you got the statistical titles to show it, guess what? You're the greatest, you're the best scorer that year in the league. And if you start racking up so many statistical titles, whether it's 2, 4, 5, 6, it shows. So those guys in those eras, they were battling each other to be the best at passing, at rebounding, at block shots, scoring, things like that, folks. I mean, we live in a whole different era, man. It was like showing was believing. So to me, I think Kobe was good, but he don't have the steals titles. Where's all his steals titles? Does he have a block title? Does he have an assist title? 2 scoring titles? And yes, I think he could have had more if he would not play with Shaq. Because to me, championships ain't everything. Guess what? I think he would have had more MVPs if he would not play with Shaq. Right? Am I saying Shaq carried him? No, I ain't saying Shaq carried him. No way. But I'm just saying they kind of like offset. Look, even though Magic played with Kareem, right? Magic still had 2 steal titles, 2 MVPs, 3 Finals MVPs, and 4 assist titles. I mean, what? All right then. Just because Kareem was there, it wasn't going to stop Magic from Magic doing what he does. Right? So to me, Magic is the greatest Laker of all time. He won an MVP without Kareem. He won 3 Finals MVPs with Kareem. 2 steals titles. I mean, 4 Finals MVPs, 2 MVPs, another one when he left. 2 steals titles, if I didn't say. I mean, 4 assists. I mean, what? What do you mean Magic ain't the greatest Laker? If you guys want to say, oh, yeah, you can't shoot like it. There's more than just shooting the ball. No, he ain't a better shooter than Kobe. But was he a better defender if he got 2 steals titles? Was he a better rebounder? If he had more rebounds, he averaged more rebounds than Kobe. Was he a better, of course, passer? Yes. He had the MVPs, the Finals MVPs. The body of work speaks for itself, folks. You can't go on like some one-on-one battle and think that scoring is the only thing. It's not like that. Wilt Chamberlain did rebounds, block shots, all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to put Kobe number 1, I'm cool with it. Fine. But to me, I'm just saying based off of, what he's done in his career. Because what he did in 2007 through 2010, he wasn't supposed to do, folks. He really wasn't supposed to do it. Right? LeBron wasn't bringing home gold in the FIBA. Had to get Kobe. LeBron wasn't bringing home gold in the Olympics. Had to go get Kobe. Kobe wasn't building no super team. Guess who did? LeBron, the big 3. And Kobe had to play that super team 2 times. Kobe won't win an MVP. It was LeBron in a weak, soft East, while Kobe was over there battling Lions and Tigers in the West. So, again, what he did from 2007 to 2010, that to me, that would be the only criteria that would put him in the top 5, number 1 or top 2. Other than that, no. Because he did something special. And you can include his other rings with, Shaq or something like that. But I hate when people try to give me this, he's just shooter and he can do this and he can. Okay, we know that. Kobe Bryant is one of the greatest skilled players of all time. But guess what? Magic Johnson is one of the greatest skilled players of all time at his position. Michael Jordan is one of the skilled players at his position. The greatest skilled position. Can you say it? One of the greatest skilled players at his position. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Go look at his resume and go faint. Is one of the greatest skilled players at his position. Bill Russell is one of the greatest skilled players at his position. Right? Who did I leave out? Wilt Chamberlain is one of the greatest skilled players of his position, if I didn't say it. So Jordan, Wilt, Kareem, Russell, and Magic are some of the greatest skilled players at their position. And so is Kobe. But when you look at these other guys' body of work, as far as statistical accolades and just accolades period, Kobe's career don't stack up. It don't stack up, folks. You can make up whatever you want to make up. That's fine. That's your prerogative. I won't fight you for putting Kobe wherever you want. But I'm looking at it clear. So yeah, I don't want to keep staying on this because people going. Actually, I want to do a video about Kobe Bryant and what he was able to overcome throughout his career. That made him one of the greatest of all times and a champion in the type of adversity he had to play in to get where he got. It's incredible. People really don't understand that story that Kobe went through. I mean, they left the guy for dead. This was the guy in 97, 98, whenever him and Michael Jordan met, and Kobe was still a bench player. The media said before every single game, Michael Jordan was supposed to be passing the torch to Kobe Bryant. This was the next Michael Jordan, not Grant Hill, not Allen Iverson, not, Shaquille O'Neal. All in Shaquille O'Neal's face, it was Kobe Bryant, folks. It was Kobe Bryant. And I don't want to kind of spoil it, but the man went through a lot of adversity from when he was getting those comparisons. Every time him and Michael Jordan played, all the way until his I would say until his 10th ring. I mean, not his 10th ring, until 2010, his 5th ring. What he went through was crazy. And he was considered the second greatest of all time. That's what ESPN, all these fools were saying. While LeBron James went and jumped on his super team. I mean, what? So again, like, if you want to I don't need to watch these guys, all of them play. Like Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell. I just know what they did in their era. That's why we can't be like, oh man, this dude was better than this dude in this era. No, I look at what you did in your era, because you guys weren't playing each other like that for the most part. I look at what you did in your era. And again, it's not about winning championships solely. It's about the whole body of work, championships, finals MVPs, statistical titles, stuff like that. It's about that. But yeah, we talked about Kobe because I was talking about Derrick Rose. I mean, this is going to open up a whole can of worms right here with the Derrick Rose thing, because Chicago really hasn't recovered since the whole Derrick Rose thing. And I don't know, man. I just don't. I know it ain't his nature to be, to stand out and have a big voice and, voice his opinion about stuff. But the guy's he's kind of too quiet. I mean, he's opened up over the years, but I don't know, man. He played 7 years in Chicago. Was it 7 years in Chicago? Let me check this out real quick. Yeah, they're saying 7 years with Chicago. 406 games, Rookie of the Year, youngest MVP, 3-time All-Star. I have to look at this a little bit more to see what I'm really missing. And I'm not trying to be mean, but okay, let's say you want to retire his jersey. But why'd he go somewhere else? Let me see. I guess this is the year he got hurt, right? 2011, 2012. We only played 39 games. The next season, he plays 10. The next season, he plays 51. The next season, he plays 66. And then he goes to the Knicks, he plays 64. He go to the Knicks and play 64, but he went to Cleveland, played 7, went to Minnesota, played 0. Minnesota 51, Detroit 50, Detroit 15, New York 35, 26. I mean, I don't know. Why was he even in the league? I don't know. If he was on some of these teams, he's playing 15 games, 35 games, and he can't even, I don't know, man. The NBA is weird. Just giving away money to people, giving away a roster spot to somebody who can't even play on a high level no more because, they're hurt. I don't know. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, he played 7 in Chicago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He played 7 seasons in Chicago. Um, I don't know, man. Even when he was in Chicago, he wasn't really a good defender. Couldn't even get you one steal a game, even at his height. Well, he did get you one steal in 2010, 2011. Um, he averaged 25 points over 20 points, 3 seasons. But barely, right? He averaged 25, 210, the 211 season. But the other seasons, he averaged 20 points or more. He was only 21 points. Another season was like 20 points. I don't know, guys. Wasn't too bad on assist when he wasn't hurt. Never shot 50%. Or anything even close, really. 48%. Poor 3-point shooter. But let me see, attempts. God, he did take a lot of attempts though. For back then. Almost took 5 a game, but wasn't even shooting 35%, really. Okay, free throw shooter in those years that he wasn't hurt. Like I said, with the Kobe thing, I wouldn't put him up on the banners. I mean, when we got like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, those guys like that up in the rafters, you're gonna have to do more for me. I just, the expectations are too high. To me, it's more of a pity party. I won't put him up there because it's gonna open up a whole new can of worms because they've been doing that, period. In the NBA, put guys up in the rafters who don't belong in there. All this crazy stuff, man. It's So let's move on and talk about this Anthony Edwards character, because that's basically what he is, a character, right? We talked about the other day him crying and whining and crying, and you just get sick of it. You just get sick of it. So he scores I think he scored 50. What was it? 53. A career high 53. Goodness God, a -3. Well, I don't know, man. Some of this stuff, if you lose, you're gonna be a minus. But this is why he was a minus. He's got 6 turnovers, folks. 0 blocks, 0 steals, 2 assists. So it's not looking good. He didn't do really anything good on the floor at a high level besides get you points, right? And check this out. 11 for 12 from the free throw line, 10 for 15 from the 3-point line. What? So there's the majority of your points right there from 3 in the free throw line. 6 for 31 from the field in 44 minutes. So he basically stayed on the floor. I mean, the next guy that averaged the most minutes was Julius Randle with 36. Now, I'm not going to beat him up because he stayed on the floor. Whatever like that. Got you 1 offensive rebound, folks. This guy should have the springs to get you at least 2 or 3 in this Salk era. Offensive rebounds. But, he wasn't the worst plus minus on his team. There were other guys. But what I'm trying to tell you, if you score 53 points and you can't even get a plus in the plus minus, and we're trying to tell you why right here. 6 turnovers, 0 blocks, 0 steals, and 2 assists. And you get beat by the lonely Detroit Pistons. Why? Because this guy ain't playing no defense. He's just out there chucking up shots. And let's see where he is right now. 6'4". Oh, he's 6'4"? Let me see. 6'4", 225 pounds. I mean, that's pretty heavy. I mean, Michael Jordan won 225 pounds at that age. So he's pretty bulky. So now, even with that, him shooting the way he shot last night, I think he shot about 50% from the field last night, or a little bit under it. He's still, at this season, 44% from the field. Imagine if he would have chucked up all those shots and missed all those shots, or missed half of, or missed more than half of them. His field goal percentage would have went down majorly because he chucked up like 15 threes. I think his 3-point percentage went back up because I don't think it was at 42%. So obviously it went back up if he hit like, what was it, 15 threes? Let me look. Yeah, he shot 66% from three, 51% from the field. Let me go back and look at this. Yeah, he hit 10 threes and he chucked up 15 of them. Free throw shooting is a little bit better this year. This season, 5.6 rebounds, 3.9 assists, 0.6 blocks, 1.2 steals, basically 2 fouls. Basically 2 fouls. And he's averaging 25 points per game. And I think that is only 25 because, you know, he scored 50 damn points. But before that, he was at 24 points per game. So overall, he's a horrible shooter, right? When you look at, he's at 44% for the year. I can tell you, if he would have missed half the damn shots that he made last night, it probably would have brought him down to about 42%. But yeah, he's at 44% for the year, and not even 44.8 or nothing like that. He's at 44.4. He's getting close to like career lows. I mean career stats. And when you get close to career stats, that's not good because as you move on in your career, you're supposed to have better stats. Because when you first come in, your stats are going to be low. You're just now coming into the NBA, right? So what I mean by that is his field goal percentage this year is 44.4%. His career is 44.6%. It's not good. This season, he's shooting 42% from the three. For his career, he's 36. See what I'm saying? So he's upped it on the 3-point shooting. His career at free throw line is 79.5%. This year is 81.9. Rebounds, career 5.2. This year, 5.6. It's not good. Assist, his career is 4.1. This year is 3.9. It's not good. Career in blocks, first career, 0.6. This year, 0.6. Steals, first career, 1.3. This year, 1.2. That's not good, folks. Turnovers, first career, 2.8. This year, 3.1. It's not good. Points, first career, 23.2. This year, 25.3, and I'm trying to tell you, he was at 24 or something. I think it was before he bombed away and went up from hitting all these threes. So what I'm trying to say is, if you look at people's, when they first came into the league, their first couple years, they're first. Some, I'm not gonna say all, but a lot of guys, their first or second, sometimes third years, that's their lows and their career highs per year. So when you get to 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, it just start going up. So by year, if I look at 2017 and you came in the league at 2014, it shouldn't be the same, folks. Your career shouldn't be the same as 4 years, what you did that year in your career. This guy's regressing in most of these things. He's not really getting no better. You can say what you want to say. They can make him this star. I mean, look what they did with LeBron James. We did a great video on it yesterday and proved that he could do no wrong. Everything he did wrong was right, and they still could make a star out of this guy. This was the illusion of the era. We call that illusion era, really, right? Where people, I don't know, man, because we always thought when we was young, The 2000s was going to be different. We was going to be living this futuristic life. We were going to be flying. We were going to be, in flying cars, flying skateboards, just all this, when you watch these movies, like RoboCop and Back to the Future, Demolition Man, all these different sci-fi movies that used to be on the Sci-Fi Channel, even Matrix, stuff like that. Everything was like promoted to us that, okay, once we get to the 2000s, man, everything's going to be futuristic. When you got there, it wasn't. It wasn't futuristic. Yes, things got a little bit better electronically. Maybe radios, stereos, TVs, you got your touch screen, but it's not the futuristic stuff that they were selling you. You know what I'm saying? You were just like, you couldn't wait for this. They got this thing that's been out for a long time. Every year, they got this futuristic car show. I don't know if it's called futuristic or whatever like that, but they got all these futuristic cars that go to these car shows every single year. And when you look on the street every single year, those cars aren't there. They're not there. They're not there, folks. I don't know why, but those cars are not. I don't know if they're in another universe that we don't know about. Where the hell did they put these cars? And don't tell me they're hard to mass produce. Like, you could take like every car, and instead of putting gasoline, you could just use solar, right? Make the whole entire car, instead of plastic and metal, whatever they make it out of solar. That's all you do. And make the solar panels make it to where they can generate even more power from the sun, that they could go fast as a Tesla or any other car. They don't want to do that, folks. They don't want to do that. They ain't trying to help the people out. It's almost like I propose every house that they build should come with a solar panel. Nope, you got to order that separately. Anyway, we won't get too deep into other things. But yeah, once we got to the 2000s, it wasn't nothing futuristic. So yeah, they can make so when we was in the 2020s, this is the type of stuff they was doing. Not 2020s, 2000s. It was making a star out of something that wasn't a star, folks. LeBron James. Right? They still actually have kids on social media calling this guy the GOAT, and LeBron is the GOAT, and he's going to be the GOAT. I mean, these are the expectations in the standard that has been lowered. I mean, bottomed out and lowered to the ground. He's part of the era. You see this guy out here, what's he doing? And these are the guys, Anthony Edwards, that he grew up watching this guy. This guy out here TikTok dancing before the games. He's been doing this forever. We just put out a video yesterday, right? We just put out that video of him dancing on his opponents in blowouts on the sideline. Him coming out dancing before the games because he knows he's got the best team. These are the type of guys that LeBron James breed. The Anthony Edwards type of guys. These guys no longer have to be about professionalism. They were showing a video on Facebook. Was it the 2012 All-Star game? All these clowns came out. It was LeBron James, Dwight Howard. I couldn't make out the other guy that was beside him because it was on the stage, and all this dust and fog and all this stuff was just pyrotechnics, and they came out dancing and doing all this stuff, and what? And Derrick Rose was just like looking at him like, what? And he didn't do none of those shenanigans. And when they called his name, he just raised his hand and was like, okay. You know why? Because he was used to watching or seeing all the other greats that just came out and stood there and got their name called, and they were ready to entertain the fans, and they were about business. That's what they were about. They had no little kid mentality. It was about professionalism. Michael Jordan didn't come out dancing. Magic Johnson didn't come out dancing. Kobe Bryant didn't come out dancing. It's a job, folks. For us, it's entertainment, but it's still a job. In upholding the standards of past players that set a standard is all I'm trying to say. And we did a video that, you know what I'm saying, these type of players, like LeBron James, he can clown, he can do whatever he wants in his entire career, lose, melt down, choke. And they really didn't have nobody else to promote as the face of the league. This is what they set on for years. I don't know why, but I guess the league was that awful. It was that awful coming into the 2000s or whatever. Like Michael Jordan kind of gave you a glimpse of that. Like these kids, when Michael Jordan left, from being a manager, whatever, vice president on the Wizards. He a lot of people don't understand that, man. A lot of people will say that, you know, he did it so he could get ownership with the Wizards. Think about what people's trying to tell you. Michael Jordan said that he was going to play if he got half ownership of the Wizards. Now, as they tell you this, they don't tell you that Michael Jordan had any verbal contract, right, that's on audio tape, or most important, any written contract, right? So they're trying to tell you that Michael Jordan is this giddy and dumb to try to own a team, that he's going to jump on the floor after not playing basketball for 3 years and do what? Not even sign a contract with the guy who owned the Wizards. You guys got to stop, man. I don't care what the media told you. I don't care what anybody told you. That sounds like the dumbest story of all time. Nobody's going to jump on the floor on a verbal agreement, not even on audio tape, for something to do something that big and not even have, you know, have it signed, sealed, delivered. That's ridiculous. Michael Jordan came back to help the NBA because the ratings were starting to go down. He loved the NBA. The NBA always looked out for him. He loved playing basketball, and he was going nuts watching these players not go out there and practice hard, not wanting to have any positional skills no more as any big man in the paint. And you can see it. Being brass and only wanting to get paid this money. He was going crazy. So he came back and played. He wasn't playing for championships or nothing like that. But, you know, people try to tell you this ridiculous story. But what I'm trying to say is that's what I'm trying. The NBA was just a whole bunch of brats going in the 2000s, right? Bunch of brats. The next was brats, and people like, you know, well, American players, a lot of brats, you know, and they didn't want to work hard no more. They didn't want to practice no more. They had a whole different mentality. They were a bunch of brats. And this coincides with the LeBron James era. I mean, Kobe didn't like it. Tim Duncan didn't like it. A lot of 90s guys didn't like it. And guess what? The 90s was one of the toughest eras of all time just to live in. I'm trying to tell you. Was one of the toughest decades to live in. I think it was the toughest as far as like violence and drugs and, you know, all this type of stuff. It was tough. But even with that, the 90s was still diverse. I mean, the 2000s was diverse too in culture and stuff like that. But the NBA was starting to get this brat mentality, and the brat mentality was not really hard work, right? And that's why you saw LeBron James. He could start taking it to guys that no longer possess those type of skills, those type of positional skills, right? There was no more Kareems. There was no more Wills. There was no more, you know, Magic Johnsons. There was really no more, you know, Hakeem Olajuwons or, you know, David Robinsons or, you know, these type of guys that we've seen in the past, the Moses Malone, all these guys that played positional basketball, you know, they no longer existed. Not on that scale, man, to where they were. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Yes, you still had good players, but a lot of these guys I would consider all-time great at their position, and we're really trying to battle, you know, other guys at their position, or try to look at the top 10 and be like, yeah, I'm gonna be better than Jordan. I'm gonna be better than Kareem. I'm gonna be better than Magic. I'm gonna be better than Will. I'm gonna be better. No, they didn't care about that, man, because these guys in the past, the money just wasn't that big. It was big at the time, but it wasn't like, you know, these guys wanted to cement their name as all-time greats to where you couldn't even pass them. You know, once you got that brat mentality, you know, they don't care. Man, I don't care about passing Kareem or Will or Jordan. No, I got money. I don't care about that. These guys cared about basketball more to cement their legacy. And, you know, even your Tim Duncans, your Kobe's, that's how these guys work. And, you know, Kevin Garnett to an extent. These 90s mentality type of guys, they're just different. These guys, you know, going into the 2000s only cared about money. And Michael Jordan even said that. It was driving him crazy that you care about money more than your job. And it's like the NBA was kind of stuck because that's all they really had to work with. I mean, they were good players. They were NBA players and great players. But to me, they weren't all-time great players that was trying to take the mantle and be better than these past players in the 90s, 80s, and 70s, nothing like that. They were just trying to be good, right? And they were good because they were in the league. But It wasn't. I don't even think the players were as good as what Kobe was playing. In the early 2000s when he was on his three-peat run, stuff like that. That was a whole different NBA too, man. It just changed. Once they took out that defense for LeBron James, it just totally changed. It's like, okay, now everybody can really just like face up, right? Everybody can just face up and do what they want to do, because now nobody can really, what do they call it? Arm guard you so much, hand check you so much, really body you so much and stuff like that. You can just face up and just bully your way to the basket, aka LeBron James. It just changed the defense totally, right? And if that's what they want the defense to be, whatever, that's fine. But you can't compare that to guys who had to get hand checked and bodied and all this stuff. And it wasn't like some people say, man, that's not basketball. You got to remember, when they changed the defensive rules, I think Michael Jordan might have been out that season when he first retired and he came back, and they changed it. I think it was like 95 or whatever like that. But they were still hand checking. And why? And they were still putting elbows in the post and stuff like that. And why? It's just because the why is because this was an agreement with the players. They were like, oh, you hand checking me? I'm gonna hand check you. You putting elbows in the post? I'm putting elbows. It was an agreement. Like, okay, I'm cool with it. Or you cool with it? I'm cool with it. You cool with it? I'm cool with it. So it wasn't like, oh man, they took out hand checking and such is still hand checking. No, folks, it wasn't like that. It was just like, okay, you're still hand checking? I'm gonna hand check you. These were men that wanted to play men basketball, wanted you to earn your points. And it wasn't like a push hand check or something. Like, we know Detroit took it to the next level, but for the most part in the league, it was just a hand check period. It wasn't a push. And you guys got to remember, hand checking can go the wrong way too, because if you got your hand out there hand checking, guess what? You're kind of off balance. So the dude could just take off on you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be a good defender, even though you're hand checking, and sometimes it don't work out. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you're putting elbows in the post or something like that. That could work against you because the dude can spin off of you. You know what I'm saying? Instead of you just having your hand straight up. So those kind of tactics don't always work. Sometimes they work, but they don't always work. So just the physicality of dudes bumping and grinding to get those points versus the now in 2010s, it's totally different, right? This is what these guys wanted, this face-up shooting era, and it's fine, but it didn't. If you wanted that, why'd you go build super teams to do it, right? if you wanted that and it didn't work out, because what happened was, this is what you wanted, right? The LeBron James, he wanted defense out so he could just barrel to the basket because he don't have any positional skills, on the block. He can't shoot the two, shoot the three, or nothing like that. So he wanted he wanted the defense out of there so he could just barrel to the paint, right? And while he's basically arm guarding the ball and pushing you off or whatever like that. But once that didn't work out, now you go build super teams. Why though? This is what you wanted. And at the end of the day, he just made everybody else better. That's what he really did. He made everybody else better because now there's no defense and they just start destroying him. So in a way, it really didn't even work out for him. So I don't even know what that was about. Yeah, he ended up getting his stats, but in the long run, when it came to, winning championships, we all know in the NBA and the NFL, guess what? Things slow down, right? In the playoffs. So it really didn't work out for him. It came out the worst for him. All he could do was put up a stat line. That's it. Put up a stat line. So Anthony Edwards, I don't care. This guy, he scored 53 points. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Can he put up what? Oh, Joel Embiid done put up more points in the game. Luka, consistently. Joker, who cares? Where's this guy 40-point games consistently like Michael Jordan was putting up at that age? Or in his second year, third year, I won't say second year, but his third year and fourth year and fifth year. Where's the 40-point game? Where are all these 50-point games? Where? It's just whatever, man. These brats don't care, man. Either they get it or they don't. And if they don't get it, whatever it is, the points, the assists, the winning, the dominance, whatever, they still get paid. They still get paid. They still get paid because this goes back to the LeBron era when he came into the league. It don't matter what he gets, he still gets. If you don't win the championship, he'll still get the MVP. And if you don't win the championship again, he still get the MVP. If you don't win the championship, he still get all the clout. He still get all the commercials. He still gets all this. So it really don't matter. It really don't matter, folks. You're playing in the league where dudes don't have to earn nothing. They don't even earn this money. When we talk about reality, guess what? The teams want to give them all this money so they can raise the cost of everything. Tickets, merch, popcorn, hot dogs, food, parking, everything. Ain't that these guys deserve this money? They don't. Go back and see how much these players were making back in the 90s, the 80s, and how they had to fight for a contract and fight for this and blah, blah, blah. And they was earning the money based on the ratings, based on their play, based on not flopping and crying and playing a positional game and playing defense. These guys earned that money. And it was hard for them to get that money, right? So these guys don't earn it. Today, they only shove it down your face because the organizations want to make all this money off of you. It's not, so they want to give these players this money. They don't tell you why they really deserve this money, right? Compared to these other great players in the past who had positional skills at their position, right? And this is not position. I'm talking about all-time positional skills, folks. We're not just talking about putting up points. We're talking about putting up, stats at a high level at their position and playing defense. So that's what a lot of, this is the easy era. I call this the easy era. It's easy to make money in the United States, period. They done made it so easy. You can make money off of, your phone. If you can't make no money out here getting a job, there's all kind of jobs to get, but people are lazy. And people don't want to do them. That's why you got so many people coming in here and getting these jobs just like that. You know what I'm saying? Because people are lazy. You see people come some jobs and they go there one day. Oh man, this is too much for me, man. Because they know, you might not start out a lot of money, but they know they got to climb the ladder. People don't want to climb the ladder. People don't want to start at the bottom and move their way up. It's just people are lazy, man. But I call this the easy era because it's easier. Yes, prices are higher, but things are easier. You don't have to worry about getting robbed as much, shot as much. Everything is more accessible. It's easier to get a car, easier to get a house. I'm trying to tell you, you couldn't get no car like that back in the day when I was young. But people just coming in and get, nice, affordable cars like it's nothing now. I'm not trying to say new car, but you can get, something somewhat new compared to back then in the 80s and 90s. You better be having a good job and, but what I'm saying is jobs weren't accessible like that, like they got now. It wasn't easy to make money like it is. I'm trying to tell you, man, if you ain't making no money now, I just don't know what to tell you, man. It's so much easier, especially for two people in a house to have something. If they have, if both of them have a job, it really ain't no excuse, man. People ain't having children no more. So, it really ain't no excuse not to have any money. Everything is it's just easier now, man. If you know what I'm saying, you lived in the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, everything is just easier. And because of that, pop culture is worse. When things were tougher, everything was better. Music, movies, fashion, sports, everything was, that's weird, right? Everything was tougher, but everything in pop culture back in the day was better, right? Because you had to earn your way to be the best. You know what I'm saying? So you got the best people in everything, right? Whether it was sports, whether it was movies, you got your best actors, sitcoms, movies, fashion, just everything. You got the best. You didn't get, today you got the worst. I'm trying to tell you, you got the worst in everything. And I just don't think, pop culture is coming back in that way again. They can try to imitate what great pop culture was as far as music, movies, sports, sitcoms, fashion, all this stuff. It just ain't coming back. They can't imitate it because they don't have the best. We talked about this the other day. They don't have, when we talk about, it's just saying, when we talk about, pop culture, music, movies, sports, sitcoms, all this stuff, fashion, and, the pop culture of that decade, per se, the people who you see out on the front line, there was always people in the back scenes, right? The producers, the writers, the executive this, the authors, the designers, all these people were the best behind the scenes, right? So the people that was up front, these weren't the these weren't the main people. The main people were behind the scenes. The people that you got to see was just the face, okay? Was just the face who could be the face of it. Well, in the 2020s, and I would argue the 2010s too, you didn't have the same people behind the scenes, folks, and that's why the pop culture start going down in the 2010s, and it just has hit rock bottom in the 2020s. You don't have that. You just don't have that. And to me, the overflow of, I don't know what to say, the overflow and overpopulation of a whole new, different demographic in the United States has something to do with it, right? The overflow, because in these big cities, we always kind of had like a big influx of immigrants, but not to the point to where it was like overbearing over the bigger cities. I would say New York, maybe, something like that. That was always the main thing. But your other big cities, when you look at it, LA, Chicago, Miami, it was always, in other bigger cities, it was always maybe like, they were like maybe 20%, 30%. But now today, and for a minute, They're like almost 100% now. So if you don't have the foundational people here that was about the pop culture of those decades, that these new people that have taken over, right? Even you go into the small towns now, they done taken over. The influx of this new demographic, they done took over now in the small towns, and that's a big thing that'll tell you what's going on now. Why you don't have any pop culture, right? Because these new people that done took over, what pop culture are they gonna bring? The pop culture from their own country? There's no American pop culture really like that no more. So it's not a knock on people who came here or people who have come here. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. The foundational, what would you call American people aren't the majority no more in these towns and these big cities and stuff like that. So when you look at sports like that, who's really supporting sports like that anymore? If they're either the majority in these big cities or small towns or starting to be. You got a whole different demographic of people. You can see that with these holidays now. I mean, are they even worth celebrating anymore? I mean, these are holidays of foundational American people that's been here. And when you see these people come here, they don't really celebrate those holidays. These aren't their holidays. So they're kind of scratching their head. Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, this day, that day, and stuff like that. They don't really Halloween. They don't celebrate those days. I remember when I was young, right? You could basically go door to door, if not every other door, and get you some candy. Yep, you can get you some candy. That's how much Halloween was celebrated. Now, I seen that when my kids were young, and how whack it was starting to be, right? It ain't as bad as now, but people weren't celebrating it as much back then. But now, you'd be lucky if they got one damn light on in the street trying to give candy. It's because the demographic done changed, man. And it's not... Again, I'm not going to try to say we haven't always had people come over here every single year and by the thousands or whatever number, but it's when it's overbearing now, the demographic is totally changing, man. So I don't know what they're going to do with this country, man. I don't know what they're going to do with this country. The pop culture ain't the same. The people definitely ain't the same. The demographic ain't the same. So I don't really know what they're going to do with the holidays. I don't know what they're going to do with sports. I don't know what they're going to do with a lot of stuff in this country, because it didn't carry on the standard and the greatness of past eras. And you would have thought it would have since we're in the 2020s now, and it hasn't. So people keep talking about NBA is going to die. It's been dead for a long time. You can tell that they've been promoting losing. But it's always going to be there. MLB is dead. But are they still playing MLB? Yes. NHL ain't nothing like it used to be in the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, the 60s. Are they still playing MLB? Yes. So the NBA is going to be like MLB, NHL ratings. Guess what? You're still going to have your core fans, and it's still going to be on TV. But we don't know if the NBA is going to get even worse, because the MLB and the NHL really didn't kill their league based on shenanigans. They didn't do that. I mean, the steroid thing was kind of full of shenanigans, but as far as, they didn't have players literally telling the fan base, we don't like you, we hate you. we don't. The NBA is just incredible, and this is where LeBron is leaving it in his last days. It's crazy. You just can imagine Michael Jordan leaving this thing like this in his last days, right? Could you imagine LeBron retiring like Michael Jordan, right, and coming back with the Wizards, but instead LeBron retiring and coming back and playing with, one of the top teams, the Celtics, or he want to force his way to play with Joker, something like that. That's what type of arrogant person he is. So, tell me what you think.